ways that you handle
Mm-hmm.
that.
All right. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the 26-person team that you lead. Can you tell me if you were responsible for hiring perhaps most of these people that you work with?
Yes. So when I first started in 2014, I had 11 sales reps
Mm-hmm.
underneath me.
All right.
Um, Out of, and I was handed a bit of a crumbling empire. The
Mm-hmm.
Northeast at the time was a Maine through Virginia, but we had maybe one person. We had one person in New England. We had one person in New York, and
Mm-hmm.
what I did was build a team and grow. So when I took on the role, we were only delivering $8 million a year. And
Mm-hmm.
now, this is the start of my 6th year, and we're delivering just under 20 million.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 26 people on my team. And so
Perfect.
I've hired and built and nurtured and changed the culture in this area. This area used to average about 85% retention rate, and now
Mm-hmm.
I've got it well above 90. My average is about 94.5. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge swing in retention. We
Mm-hmm.
also getting schools to sign with us, or like that part of that retention is retain early, so that you're blocking the competition all year, not even allowing them to compete in those schools.
Mm-hmm.
It also allows the company to save money because we can buy in bulk. If we get them signed up early, we get a better deal on our materials.
Mm-hmm.
I have also grown geographically. So when I first started, I was given Maine through Virginia. Now I have
Mm-hmm.
Maine through South Carolina. So I go all the way up to
Mm-hmm.
Georgia now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so as I've proven quite a bit of success, they've given me more and more of the company to manage, more and more reps to manage. Um, so it's been a really successful run.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. All right. So, and these 15 team members that you hired, can you tell me a little bit about if you had any challenges with these employees? Like, were you improving the hiring process somehow to ensure that they were the best fit possible, or improving
Yes.
the
So I was
onboarding?
part of
Yeah.
a team. I was part of a team that changed the way that we were compensating new reps.
Mm-hmm.
So it came to when I first started, our retention rate of new reps was really low. And they put me on the team to say, okay, what can we do? Because we're spending so much money hiring and training these folks. What can we do to retain them? What can we do to keep the keepers?
Mm-hmm.
And so they convened a team. I was a member on that team. And generally, what we did a couple of things. We changed our training program, and we changed our compensation
Mm-hmm.
plan. And we made it used to be that reps worked off a draw, and they had to kind of dig themselves out of a hole, out of the,
Mm-hmm.
as they were being compensated, it was creating a hole, and they had to gather enough commissions to get themselves out of the hole. Once they were out of the hole, then they were commissioned sales reps, and they had, untapped earning potential, but they had to get themselves out of that hole. And what we found were that newer reps or younger reps were not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel because they were less patient. They were
Mm-hmm.
more likely to switch jobs before they got themselves out of that hole. They couldn't see 5 years in the future. And so
Mm-hmm.
we changed the compensation plan so that they were getting paid more up front along the way while getting to that total commission sales rep spot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made changes in that so that we could retain more of our reps. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things we do is we put reps in categories. So when you get to deliver $1 million annually, you become a different level of rep. You become what we call a million dollar rep. And
Mm-hmm.
I've moved from having $2 million reps to now having $8 million reps. And
Wow.
what that does is once they become that level, they're making
Mm-hmm.
so much money, and they get into our deferred compensation plan, and it's sort of like they've got golden handcuffs to stay with Walsworth because they're going to get paid so much on the back end to stay. And so
Mm-hmm.
really what I'm doing is building a team that I know is going to stay.
Mm-hmm. All right. And for employees then, have you been measuring perhaps the turnover or retention rates?
Um, yes, because I keep track of who I've hired and lost over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Because unlike some of the other managers in my company, if I really give people 2 years. In the first year, there's a big, huge learning curve because they have to learn journalism. They also have to learn the printing industry. They have to learn all the materials, all the price book. Our reps are in charge of billing, so the sales rep job is difficult. They're in charge of all of their own billing, all of their own pricing, all of their servicing and sales. And so the first year is really a learning year. The second year, if they're not at that point successful and making
Mm-hmm.
sales and growing, I'm going to make a change. There are a lot of managers that keep people on that don't grow or don't prospect because it's easier for them to not have to hire and retrain and work with someone. But the reason why I let people go that aren't doing those things, that if I know that they're not trying and they're not being successful, I'm going to get rid of them because it creates a culture, at least in my mind, is that I want everyone on my team to know that we prospect every day and
Mm-hmm.
that, we give 100% effort all the time, because there's only 180 days in a school year. Every day that the school is open, you need to be in there. And
Mm-hmm.
so I will move on employees in order to continue that culture in my area, but also so that I can get growth. I don't want people just sort of remaining flat.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I have hired people that didn't work out. You think they're going to be great and they end up not working hard enough or not
Mm-hmm.
liking being a field rep, not not having an office to go into or coworkers that they see every day. It's a bit of a lonely job,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
in your car all day. So, but I have improved retention. I don't know because I didn't track the manager before me, who was my boss,
Mm-hmm.
who managed the Northeast. She was my boss, but I don't know what her rate was. I just know that she had to go through a lot more reps who were quitting because they were feeling maybe less supported or didn't like the compensation plan. But I don't know what that increase would be.
That's all right. It's not necessary to quantify it, but all right. So, but you're sure that you improved it, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh,
All right.
definitely.
Right. And then you also mentioned that you improved the training program itself.
Mhm.
So tell me a
Yeah.
little
So
bit
it
about
used to
that.
be, yeah, it used to be that reps would come in, like the training program that I was trained under was
Mm-hmm.
you had to do a lot of, you did some reading, took some tests, and came in and sort of were lectured. Here's what this means. Here's what that means. Here's what this means. Here's how you do this.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was because previously I was a teacher, I worked
Yeah.
with the training team to change it so that it was more like a teaching model. So at
Mm-hmm.
first you would have instructional time. So we would teach them it, and have the teacher, the trainer up there explain everything. Next, we would say, okay, why don't you give this a shot? And we'll talk about, so they actually had to try and role play and do things
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, let's have you try the verbiage of what it's going to sound like to go in and do a first visit with an advisor. Now you try it,
Mm-hmm.
and then have that sort of be where they're trying it with someone there to help them, and then come And then after they've had some of that experience, then they come up maybe in the front of the room and have to do it on their own. So it's more of a teaching environment where they're actually trying it rather than just being told how to do it.
Yeah.
They're practicing it, and then we check on their mastery. And if they don't have mastery, then we reteach. But so that it's a little bit more hands-on, so that when they go out in the field, it's not all just philosophical. Oh, I was told this is how you do it, but I've never actually tried it or done it. And then as well as I'm on it's called the sales training task team, in which we changed the training department, but we also changed our sales questions that we ask to update them and make them work for, selling yearbooks in today's, we had a trainer who had developed this process a long time ago. And so we just kind of modernized it and changed the entire language, created new tools, training materials. We developed what's called the rep playbook, which essentially puts it all in writing, whereas before it was all this lecture, and then if you didn't remember it or you didn't take notes, you had nowhere to refer back to. What's the company's policy? What should I do in this instance? And so now we have a playbook that gets handed out where they say, okay, rep can refer to, well, what am I supposed to do if a school tells me they want to drop copy count, so that kind of thing. In order to help reps when you're not around, because I manage 26 people, that means on a given day I have 25 people